Welcome to Built to Work, the podcast that gets its hands dirty, dives into the grit, and uncovers the heart of what makes the blue-collar world tick. I'm Colin, your host, and I'm sitting down with the people who keep our world running. From those tackling the tough jobs no one else dares to do, to the HR professionals working overtime to find the labor force we desperately need. Whether you're in the trenches or behind the scenes, this podcast is for anyone who values hard work, determination, and stories that build the backbone of our workforce. So grab your gloves, your coffee, or your clipboard. It's time to get to work. Today I'm here with one of the most interesting men in metal that I've met so far, named Larry Harmon. Larry, thank you for taking some time to chat with me today.
Nice to be here.
So Larry and I got to know each other about a year ago, and you were doing some consulting for an aluminum company, and we got the opportunity to sit down a couple times, talk about your career, talk about your past, where you've been, and how you really just are an expert in all that you do.
I think that depends on who you ask. First of all, the expert part, but I have been around quite a bit.
Yeah. So I kind of want to, Larry, just walk back a little bit and talk about how did you get into the metals industry and how did you kind of get to where you are now? Kind of an overview of that.
It's a very long story, but I'll shorten it for you. How's
All
that?
right. That works well.
So as I got out of high school, I went to vocational school. I didn't go to college. Took machine shop. So I was a machinist working with aluminum for an airline company. And it worked out really well. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot about aluminum because that's what we focus most of our work with.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine worked at a big aluminum company.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd worked together in some activities around church and some side work and stuff like that. So he asked me, would you be interested in coming to work for me or at the same place?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, sure, why not? So I went to school. I actually went to school when I was 35 to college.
Okay.
And just got just for business, nothing, not a 4-year degree, anything like that. And turns out that the place I went to work with was Alcoa.
Mm-hmm.
And Alcoa was, they didn't focus a lot on education, which worked out good. They focused on results, which is what I can do, right?
Absolutely.
So because of that, I started out in casting. I didn't even work with the guy that got me in over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a late bloomer by Alcoa standards. Everybody that had been there right out of school or right out of high school, either one, and it's just, they're lifers, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't start there until I was 38. So,
Okay.
but I started in the cast house, casting aluminum, molten metal, cleaning it up, taking scrap, remelt, taking molten metal from the reduction, which is the pot rooms.
Okay.
And casting it into ingots, and ingot was can sheet. So I learned so much there. And then I went to the pot rooms, which we convert the ore dust into molten metal.
Okay.
Then while I was there, I got to do, man, I've been through the entire facility of the process of aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to visit mines. So I went to Saudi Arabia for almost 5 years. And I got to, hone my trade, kind of. So I was manager over there. It worked out really well. Come back, started consulting. And and that's what I've been doing ever since. And so the place you're talking about was the scrap remelt. And, it's part of the business. The hardest part was keeping employees.
Mm-hmm.
We had the turnover. When I first got there as the plant manager, I think we was about 90% turnover rate.
That's very high.
It's so hard to run a business that way.
No, that's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. So
yeah, that constant turnover, it kills you, and you lose your institutional knowledge, you lose efficiency, you're constantly retraining. That's brutal on a company.
You can't get ahead. You can maintain. And so, when they told us about the company that you have, we were like, no, wait a minute, what? They're going to come in here and do what? And I tell you what, to be honest with you, those guys that you brought to the table, they came to work every day. They didn't complain. They worked safe. They did exactly. They probably did twice the work that we got out of everybody else. Just
Hmm.
uh, if it wasn't for that premier being there at the facility, we would have closed that facility. There's no
Oh,
doubt in my
well,
mind because we couldn't keep the people. We couldn't get the
yeah.
work done. It's based on flow, and if you don't have it, you're not obviously not making money. So it was. I've never seen that until I came back from overseas.
Hmm.
And then when I came back, even when I came back, I started going back over there as a consultant and back over in the Middle East and
Yeah.
hitting all the refineries and the smelters over there. And they didn't have it there because they were importing workforce.
Gotcha.
So they
Gotcha.
were doing the same thing we're doing here. We're trying to get people to come to work. And if you can't get your locals to do it, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
You know
you gotta find somebody. So yeah, no, I mean
exactly.
I appreciate your kind words about our guys. I mean, we're very proud of our guys and very thankful for what they do, and they work super hard. And I've got to know a few of them here that are out there doing that. So they do some hard work.
They do great work. Yeah.
And we love them. We're very appreciative of them. So um, when you were in your time at Alcoa, I mean, it seems like you've seen the whole and been in the whole aluminum process from raw ore to finished product, then back through the scrap side,
Yes.
back into the ingots where it then goes to the finished product again. So
Absolutely.
you've
Yeah.
kind of seen the whole gambit of it.
I have. I've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to do that, in their careers. A lot of people, you get stuck in one specialty. Sometimes if you're in a cast house, you're in a cast house your entire life.
Mm.
Or if you're in a refinery, even you're in the refinery your whole life. I've got to. I'm very fortunate, very blessed that I've got to go from the mines, even all the way through the to rolling mill for the can sheet.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
been I've been very fortunate. Yeah.
Was there any of those places that you walked into, any of those refineries or the cast houses or anything like that, for the first time or even, even after you'd been there for a while where you walked into it and you're just like, man, this is really cool. This is it. This is the neat thing to see. Have you had any of those moments where there was something that just kind of like it was cool every time?
Not really. Very
No?
few.
No?
Very
Okay.
few. When we got when we went to Saudi, we went over there and started the modern project. We got it running and got it going, and we had people from 14 different countries.
Oh, wow.
That was a cultural shock from you know, poor guy from Tennessee, right? So,
Uh-huh.
but we went over there and we made it happen, made it work. Now you have a lot of gratitude, gratification, and then you have that sense of pride. But to walk in a place, let me see, that's a tough question, Colin.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever walked in a place and it run like it's supposed to. As a consultant, I wouldn't be there probably, right?
That's true. You kind of come in when everything's going sideways, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm generally, I guess I'm known for fixing things,
Hmm.
getting it running, making it better, and
Okay.
then leaving. But
You don't get to see all the glory.
right, so I don't get the bask in all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, if it's not challenging, I get bored. So
Yeah.
it
No,
works out.
I completely
Yeah,
understand that.
yeah,
I know when I was just getting into this industry, going the first time and seeing like an auto shredder, right? You see a
mm,
car just go in and the, crane loads it and then it comes out and it's all in chunks, smaller than a football. And it's like,
yeah, and
that was,
separated. Yeah,
that was quick, right? That sort of stuff impresses me. And the first time we met at that facility as well, just, being around, furnaces and molten metal and everything like that, it was like, yeah, it's hard work, but it's cool and it's
I tell you,
neat to see the process because it's not every day you get to walk around. I mean, for people in the industry, it's common, but most people don't get to be around molten aluminum, molten steel at any point in their careers or their
it's
life.
very true. Yeah,
Yeah,
once you get that in your blood too, you can't get it out.
yeah,
Some people are made for that. The guys who come in, oh, it's hot, oh, it's miserable. They're not the aluminum guys that we need, right? We need the
yeah.
guys who come in and have a little bit of attitude, got that
Hmm.
chest pumped out, a little bit,
Yeah.
not too cocky or that they're, they have to be a team player, but at the same time, they have to be confident. They can't be afraid.
Yeah.
And if you have to respect it, but you don't have to be afraid of it. And so that's the guys that we're looking for. And you just happen to provide us, you know, nobody bats 1,000, right? But
No.
the guys that you gave us up up at the melting facility that I was at, I'm, I'm guessing you guys hit about 98%. Because
That's
very
good.
few people that you brought in didn't like it. And, if you don't like it, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And we respect that too. So, but the guys that you brought in, they come in, and I say guys, girls too.
I tell you what, we've still got people there, and the most appreciated person up there, we got a lady that drives a forklift,
She's great at
and
it.
she is a rock star, and everybody loves her, and they say, no matter what, we want her. Like,
Absolutely.
we're like, hey, we'll give you a pay bump to stay because you're the player. So
Yeah. It's good to see that too. It's good to see somebody come in with an idea like this and say, you know what, we got you.
yeah.
It's good to have that guy behind you. The premier guys behind us saying, okay, we got it.
Hmm.
No worries.
We'll make
If you
it
need us to
happen.
work, yeah, we'll make it happen. If you need us to work a little bit extra, we'll work a little bit extra. Whatever it takes to get the job done, they'll do that.
Yeah.
And, I hate to say it, but a lot of people that, who are locals in the areas don't really have that attitude.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, a
So,
lot of these facilities tend to be in some of these, smaller rural towns and stuff like that. So,
mhm,
maybe they don't even have the ability to fully staff some of these large facilities just because there's not the volume of people. And, kind of once you burn through a certain percentage of the population that are, interested in this type of hard work,
sure.
you kind of start running out of people that'll do the job. So,
Well, we generally, there's a 60-mile rule, that we will
hmm
generally say, okay, who's within 60 miles that we can recruit.
hmm
We're doing the same thing. I have another couple projects working right now that are newer to the communities that they're in. And there's a 60-mile radius right there.
yeah,
I don't know if we can staff staff what we need within that 60-mile radius. And, you have to pay a lot of money to get people to move out of their homes, out of
yeah.
their hometowns and where they're comfortable with their wife's work or husband's work there. They don't, it's hard to just pick up and leave.
It
Right.
is. It is. I mean, I've done that for a job. I mean, you've done it. You moved to Saudi Arabia for a while. I've moved across state lines before.
Hmm.
One thing we do to solve that problem though is, and it's built into, the cost of what we do is we'll rent long-term housing for our guys, right? We'll rent houses, we'll rent apartments, right? Is kind of it. So it's like, hey, okay, well, they're 90 minutes away from where they live, so Monday through Friday they'll be up here and then they'll go back home on the weekends. So,
When I heard you did that, I actually went and looked at it and everything because it was almost something that I've never heard of that.
hmm
And you guys doing that was outstanding. I mean, you're giving them a chance to make something of their lives, right?
yeah,
And you upgraded them and what they're
yeah.
doing. And for the factories, you keep the doors open.
Hey, it's a win-win all the way around. That's what it's all about. Yeah,
Absolutely, I agree.
yeah. So let's talk about your consulting work that you do now. So now you're a
Mhm.
consultant, you're a fixer. So you are going into mainly aluminum plants, I'm assuming at this point?
Only aluminum plants.
Only aluminum. Yeah, you don't want to touch any of that ferrous stuff now.
Well, I don't know anything else. You got to be good
So,
at something, right?
yeah, exactly. Hey, you got to niche down. So you're going in and you're consulting, right? A
Hmm.
lot of times you're going to these facilities and there's issues. Is that correct? Is that what you're working
Most,
on?
yeah, that's when I get calls is when there's a
Okay.
problem. And when you go consulting, I don't just go in and make a list. Right?
hmm
I go in and I'm actually involved. I don't just make a list. I bring solutions, and sometimes I will stay there till we implement the solutions and get it back on track.
hmm
Uh, I was in a smelter a couple different summers, extended times. I just went to help, and then I ended up almost in a position, that and we didn't leave until it was running like it should be.
Yeah.
And That's to me is a professional consultant instead of the guy who comes in. Anybody can come in and make a list.
Hmm.
Have the guts to implement it and make it happen.
Yeah.
Help with the solution and help get there. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and when you're working to implement those solutions, you're really fighting uphill battle because you got to get people to buy into the changes, right? There's probably some financial investment too. Hey, you got to get new equipment, you got to get better people. Like what that is, you got to change processes around.
yeah, and you
And
don't make
then,
those decisions. Yeah,
yeah, but then you don't have the authority as the consultant to write the check and make those decisions. So you've got to say, hey, you're paying me. Here's my advice. I suggest you implement it. And then you have to go through and work through that implementation process if they buy off on it.
absolutely. Yeah. That
Yeah.
the hardest part of it really to me is uh, when you see something that needs to be done
Hmm.
and you say, guys, this is what you need to do, and they won't do it. It's very, it drives you crazy because that's what they need to do. That's going to work. And I'm not responsible for their budget, right? And
Yes.
I don't answer to their bosses and board of directors, and that's their decision.
Hmm.
Uh, and then we deal with it. No hard feelings, which is where we'll go.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
no, I totally understand. Yeah, that's just part of it. So when you're going into these facilities, I'm sure you see a whole bunch of different stuff, but do you tend to with these things that are broken, is it equipment? Is it processes? Is it people? Is it is it like a knowledge? Like where do you see these, recurring issues coming up?
it's all the above.
All of it? Okay.
All the above. Yeah, because if it's an old facility, they don't want to spend the money to catch up, because
Hmm.
then you're almost building a new facility.
Yeah.
Then you have to get everything up to codes. So there's a lot goes into the equipment part of it,
Hmm.
and then the obviously the process. The process is the process. You don't change a different way that you do things.
Yeah.
To turn molten metal from ore dust to molten. There's a
Hmm.
one process to do that, right? And sometimes we try to take shortcuts, or we're not disciplined. Discipline is a big issue in the aluminum industry. No matter what section, no matter what, no matter what department you're in or what process you're managing, you have to have your systems and your processes, right?
Absolutely.
And then, the last 5 or 6 facilities I've been in, the people part is getting worse because
Yeah.
you have new people training new people. You can't.
Yeah.
You said it earlier. Your institutional knowledge and your experience, you can't just go get that.
Mm-mm. No, you can't.
If you could, I wouldn't have a job, right? So,
Yeah.
there's only one way to get it, and and that's get in there and get with it and
Yeah.
stay with it till you learn it, right? And you have to be disciplined to the processes, and
Yeah.
that's very hard to do whenever you don't really know the processes. So
Yeah.
you have to, yeah. So you simplify it and do the best you can to teach and train, coach and train, and in a step by step level process. But it's you know it's not easy. It's not
It's
easy
not
to do.
it's not easy. Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
but the
We
people, they have turnovers everywhere we go. Not 90%, of course, but there's so
mhm.
much turnover. I've seen people come into a smelter to taking the tour just to see where they'd be working and quit right there. I mean,
Didn't even
you
make
know,
it through the first hour.
didn't even make it to lunch. So that's a big
It-
issue.
there's a people component to it for sure. And we understand that you bring in somebody like us, like, hey, we might be a few bucks per hour on more expensive face value than somebody else. But to have that continuity of employees and have that work consistently getting done and not having to worry about, the turnover, the training, and all that sort of stuff, it does pay for itself with productivity gains down the road, right? Or even immediately, right? As soon as you get that full week of production in, that was a whole lot better than having your new employees walk out on the tour.
There's no doubt that it's valuable. It's value
Hmm.
added, even if it is. So what's a little more expensive by the dollar, by the hour? But in the long run, you're making more money.
Yeah.
because you can't, if you're not making the product, if you're not having the flow, if you're not, if your production's not there, you're not going to have anything anyway. So it's
Yeah.
very important. I mean, and it is worth it. We've done the math.
Hmm.
We have actually done the math. My partner and I, we've actually done the math and said, it's cheaper in the long run. It's more effective, more efficient, more, it just makes more business sense to have Premier on site.
Mm.
you know, and some people, they will see just the number of what we pay an hour and say, oh my goodness, we can't do that. Well, bring me somebody who'll work it, you know,
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't
That's
do it.
right. Yeah.
And it works out. It's just it's a business. Your business model is what makes it work.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that flows into to the business owners. I mean, it's got to be part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've been in the aluminum industry now for a few years, maybe a couple decades at this point now.
Yeah.
Uh, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen? Has there been a big technology shift that you've seen? Has there been a process shift? Like, what's a big change you've seen over that time frame?
Well, everybody wants to be technical savvy, right? Everybody wants
Hmm.
to make improvements, and everybody, improvements are not always good, but it's sometimes if you can take human error out, obviously that's going to help you in the long run, right?
Hmm.
Uh, but you don't change the process. You can automate some things, which we've done.
Hmm.
When we put in the facility over in Modern, man, we didn't even touch the metal. We got it ready with the machines, got it ready. But after you got it in the furnaces, you never touched it.
Never
It
touched
was
it again, huh?
amazing. No,
That's awesome.
it was amazing. But you're talking about state of the art and money that an existing facility doesn't have the ability to upgrade to, right?
Hmm.
So the technology is still limited. It's still limited, even though it's make great strides. You see guys down there with the shovel loading standard ingots, whereas you've got a robot stacker that'll do that. Nobody hurts their back.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's worth the money because of the safety issues.
Yeah.
But there again, not everybody can just afford to go say, okay, let's write a check for one of those.
Yeah. A
Right.
couple
So
$1 million or more for whatever that's robot stacker
exactly.
costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I know this one company's probably spent over $1 billion trying to develop a different type of anode that lasts longer. You know, they've been working over 25 years. It's still not there. You know, but they're not going to give up till they get it. And once they get it, it'll be great. But
Hmm.
I think the biggest issue to me in my time is the younger generation. They don't they don't have that work ethic.
Hmm.
My dad, I'll give you an example. My dad's 84 years old. He works 40 hours a week.
84 work 40 hours a week.
He doesn't miss work. He's never late. And he works when he's there. He does his job when he's there. He's employee of the month over, and you're talking about a facility that has, I don't know, 50 people.
Uh-huh.
And they're young, their turnovers, I don't know what the turnover is, but you see different people, when I go by there and see them, but it's a different generation,
Hmm.
right? We've spoiled our kids. We have spoiled them rotten. We want
Too
them to
many
have,
participation trophies.
yes. Don't get me started on participation trophies because I want to break them all with a hammer. But yeah, that's part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
don't keep score when they're little. Keep score. You got to know who wins. You
Oh,
got to
there's
win or
winners and
lose.
losers in
It's part
life.
of it, right?
Yeah.
Come on. But it's just a different culture that we're dealing with.
Hmm.
And uh, when I left Alcoa, the average age, well, when I left the cast house, average age in there was over 50. Those guys didn't work that hard, but they worked smart and they were smooth, right?
Hmm.
Best workforce, man, you would believe it. And you get the younger guys coming there, they're working 10 times harder and getting less done, or they're not working at all.
Not working at all. Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and one of the worst things you can do when you're trying to manage a place is have people not show up
Yeah.
because you've got your plan, you've got your production numbers that you've got to hit so much a day, and you've got a plan to get there. Nobody shows up, somebody doesn't show up, and then, there goes your plan, there goes your numbers, there goes your money. So,
Yeah, well,
I
this is
think
where
that's a big,
people that aren't in it don't understand that if the people don't show up, you can't make the product. If you can't make the product, you can't make a profit. You can't make a profit, the company goes out of business, the jobs are not there. Then everybody complains that there's no jobs, but they didn't show up to the job when they had the opportunity to. And it's this circular spiral to an extent,
this
right? It's a
domino
downward
effect.
spiral.
Yeah. And it's just a domino effect. Somebody starts it. Once it started, you can't stop it.
Hmm.
Right. So for that day, you're running around trying to figure out how you want to do this better, trying to call somebody in from for overtime that wasn't planning on being there, might have
Yeah.
stayed out too late. He's not going to come in, or she's not going to come in and be as productive, because preparation for the day starts the night before.
Hmm.
Right. So they're not prepared to come in. So, there's a lot of things that's the downflow from just, I think I'll just not show up today.
Yeah. Yeah. Please show up to work when you're supposed to. That's all we
Show
ask.
up, man. Just show up.
Just
Just do
show
the
up.
right
That's
thing.
easy. That's
Yeah.
easy. So, well, Larry, I appreciate you chatting with me and telling me about your experiences in the aluminum industry over the last couple decades. You've obviously got a great wealth of knowledge, and I always appreciate it when you share it with me. So, thank you for your time.
It's always good to talk to you, Colin. Take care.
All right. Talk to you later.